Hey Hobby friends, today we're starting the first part in a series of painting Lionel Johnson. I wanted to break this up into smaller bits instead of having one long video. So today we're focusing on the armor itself, and for that we're going to give the entire model a base coat. We're going to prime the entire model black. I'm using Pro Acryl's black primer. You can use your primer of choice. Okay, and now that we have this model primed, we're going to start by base coating the armor. For that, we're going to mix up a combination of 1 part Caliban green with 2 parts Abaddon black. Now this will give you a nice base coat that is, it's pretty much black with just a green sheen to it. It looks a lot greener when it's wet. It'll dry to an almost black finish. But this is what we want. We want this dark, dark green, and we'll start building up from it. I've seen how some other people have painted their Lionel Johnson, and it seems like they've used black as their base coat, and then just gave it green highlights, which I don't really think sells the idea of dark green armor. At least not to me. I like at least putting green into the base coat, and when you do that, like, the transitions just appear smoother instead of black and then green highlights. Now I'm going to apply this on all of the armor. I just make sure I thin it out so it goes on evenly. I don't want any type of pooling. I don't want it to be chunky anywhere. So thin it out, apply it in a couple of coats, and you can see on here, like, as you're layering it over the black, that the green does start to shine through, and that's what I'm looking for here. And now with all of the armor base coated, you can see that it still looks black, but compared to the black primer, it's a much cooler black. So this is what I was looking for here. And now we're going to start with the first layer or highlight. And for this, what I did is I used Caliban green, and I thinned it down and made kind of a glaze. And I just used little dots and dabs and streaks, and just start building up that layer just along the lower edges, and any edges that would catch a highlight. I will kind of use this as the wider highlight, and just build that up. Now as you're building this up, you want to make sure that you leave a lot of the original base coat showing through, because you do want this to look almost black, so you don't want to cover that up. Even though that base coat is a green, you want that deep dark color as the base, and we're building up from there. And you can see here that the difference between the base coat and the Caliban green is very subtle. This is actually after a couple coats just building up that layer. And that's exactly what you want, because it's going to give you a very nice transition between these colors. Now for the next highlight, I take a 1-to-1 mix of Caliban green and Warpstone glow. And again, like the previous layer, I just thin it out to a glaze, and I lightly just use like dots and dabs and build that up. This is going to be in a much smaller area than the previous, just the Caliban green, because I'm wanting to transition from that black green to the Caliban green to the Warpstone Caliban green mix. And again, this mix is thinned out, so it goes on, it looks kind of bright, but it dries, and it's a lot thinner than what it looks like here. And so I'm taking my time just building up those layers until I'm really happy with the transitions and those highlights. Now for the next highlight, I'm going to reduce the area even more, and I'm making a combination of 2 parts Warpstone glow to 1 part Caliban green. Again, I'm just getting those edges, making that highlight layer even thinner than the previous two, just so I have that nice transition. This has also been thinned down to almost a glaze consistency, and I'm just building it up little by little. And here we're going with straight warpstone glow. Another glaze, thin this down to so it's a very thin consistency, and I load my brush up, and then I just kind of wipe the excess off on a paper towel, and I very lightly, just gradually build up this almost the edge highlight here with the warpstone glow. And here we have it, the final highlight. I promise, no more after this one. So this one I made by mixing about 50-50 warpstone glow and Pro Acryl's faded green. And if you don't have access to faded green, you can make your own. It's really about the equivalent of a 50-50 mix of Nurgling green and Wraithbone. So it's just an off-white and a very light green. But yeah, or also like I think Vallejo Game Color has like I think Duck Egg Green or something. The name of it. It's pretty similar to that. But yeah, so 50-50 faded green and warpstone glow, and this I'm sticking to the extreme highlights. I put a couple nicks and scratches in the armor, as you can see here, just kind of doing a final highlight on others that I'd already put in there. And then I do all of the extreme, the corners, the high spots, anything that's going to really reflect that light. And for this extreme highlight, I try not to make it a solid line. I'll do little just dings and dashes, little dots, and just kind of build up a line that way, instead of just having one solid line running across the model. And here is the green armor completed. It came together very nicely. It's very similar to the GW paint scheme, which is what I was wanting. I want that dark black green and those really vibrant highlights, but they're not over the top. To me, it's a very subtle transition from that black all the way up to that bright green, and it really works. I'm very happy with how this turned out. So hopefully the rest of this model is going to come together very nicely, just like this did. All right, guys, I think I've kept you on here long enough. I'm Jason. This is Level Up Hobbies. Thank you for joining me here as I painted up the green armor for Lion L. Johnson. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a like and subscribe down below. Leave a comment, share my videos. Everything helps progress this channel. Thanks again, and remember, build, paint, and play tabletop games. All right, I'll see you guys on part 2.